Lesson 5.3 The European Regulatory Framework. Europe has undergone a significant regulatory transformation over the past decade. The clinical trial regulation that came into full effect in 2023 fundamentally changed how sponsors interact with European regulators. In this lesson, we examine the EMA, the centralized procedure, and what the new regulation means in practice. The European Medicines Agency, EMA, is a decentralized agency of the European Union, headquartered in Amsterdam. It coordinates the scientific evaluation, supervision, and safety monitoring of medicines across the EU's member states. A critical point that confuses many people: the EMA does not issue marketing authorizations, it issues a scientific opinion. That opinion is then converted into an EU-wide authorization by the European Commission, a two-step process that means final approval involves both a scientific and a political administrative component. The centralized procedure, the EMA's flagship pathway, is mandatory for certain categories of product: oncology medicines, advanced therapy medicinal products such as gene and cell therapies, orphan medicines, and products with new active substances for specific diseases, including HIV, cancer, and diabetes. It is optional for any innovative product where the sponsor prefers a single EU-wide authorization over navigating individual national procedures. The review timeline is 210 active days from EMA acceptance. The clock stops twice, at day 120 and day 180, when the EMA issues lists of outstanding issues that the sponsor must address before review continues. In practice, including clock stop periods, the centralized procedure typically takes around 12 to 18 months. 3 EMA scientific committees are especially relevant to clinical trials. CHMP prepares the opinion on new medicines. PDCO reviews pediatric investigation plans, mandatory in the EU before any new drug application. And PRAC monitors the safety of approved medicines. For most of the period from 2001 to 2023, clinical trials in Europe were governed by Directive 2001/20/EC. Under that directive, running a trial in multiple EU member states meant navigating up to 27 separate national approval processes, each country with its own forms, its own timelines, and its own interpretation of the rules. Startup timelines of 18 months or more across a European trial were not uncommon. The Clinical Trial Regulation, Regulation EU 536/2014, replaced the old directive with a fundamentally different approach. Its centerpiece is CTIS, the EU Clinical Trials Information System, a single web portal and database through which sponsors submit one application that is then reviewed by all participating member states simultaneously. Under the new regulation, one member state acts as the reporting member state. It takes the lead on scientific and ethical review. Other member states co-assess. The review timeline is standardized at 30 days for most applications. The regulation also introduced mandatory result reporting. Sponsors must publish trial results on CTIS within 12 months of the trial's end. This was a direct response to concerns about selective publication and publication bias that had undermined confidence in clinical trial evidence. For sponsors running global trials, this means that EU authorization is now a single, coordinated process, rather than a patchwork of national submissions. The transition has been substantial. Any trial that began under the old directive had to migrate to CTIS by January 2025.